You can see right here, it's pretty stiff. I mean, there's not much damp. Hey guys, welcome back to Revolution XRC and welcome to the next video in my RC four-wheel drive Marlin crawler series. In this series, we're going to go over loosening up the stock RTR suspension. Out of the box, the Marlin has a fairly stiff suspension. You can see right here, it's pretty stiff. I mean, there's not much dampening, there's not much give at all, and so I'm going to look at kind of seeing what I can do to remedy that. So let's go ahead and begin. Start by removing the wheels. I'll probably drive this truck with 3 wheels. It looks like I lost a pin here, and that would be for this. So in that earlier unboxing video, I was saying we should check every screw and make sure they're you got Loctite on them. Well, yeah, that applies right here. The wheel hex came off. Sorry if you can't see that. The wheel hex came off, and I almost lost the pin there. So let me just tighten that up, and I will go ahead and thread lock it later. But I just need it to stay in place so that the pin doesn't fall out. Yeah, definitely loose there. All right. I'm going to go ahead and remove that last wheel. All right. So the TF2 Marlin crawler does have shocks that come with internal springs. I don't think they're needed. I'm going to depend 100% on the leaf springs. So I'm going to go ahead and remove the internal springs from each of these shocks. And there's a lock nut on this side, so I'm going to have to use something to hold on to it. Top side. There you go. This is what's inside each of the shocks. Don't need it, so let's go ahead and do away with that. And it looks like I lost some oil too, so I'll go ahead and take care of that as well. Alright, once the spring's out, just make sure there's just a tad oil in there. You don't really need much, it's just kind of for lubrication. Put the top back on. And we'll mount the top right back up to the shock towers. Alright, we'll see how much it improved just by removing the spring here. Yeah, definitely already a lot more softness without that spring in there. Definitely feel it, but there's also more that can be done. But right now I'm just going to remove all the internal springs from the shocks, and then we'll move on to the next part after that. Once again, This is all we're doing, just removing that internal spring right there. Oops. I put the spacer on the wrong side. I think I did. Let's go ahead and correct that. Didn't even notice it. There we go. All right, we're starting to gain a little bit more softness here in the front. So I'm definitely getting somewhere. Go ahead and take care of the rear now. Looks like I lost another hex pin. Something, yeah, this one's loose. They're all loose actually, so you definitely gotta look at that. So out of the box, they're all loose. You really gotta watch out for that. See how much that helped the rear suspension? Helped a little bit. The rear suspension's still pretty stiff, but it definitely did help. So the next thing we're gonna do, we're gonna remove the smallest leaf spring from all four corners. And before I continue with that, I am going to make sure that all these wheel hexes are secure, because I do not want to lose any of these pins. Yep. All four were definitely loose. Okay, with the hexes secured, and now that I can make sure that those pins won't fall out, let's go ahead and remove the smallest spring from each of the four corners. Alright, we'll start by removing the spring from the rears. So we'll go ahead and remove this right now. Kind of loose. So like I said, I was going to remove the smallest spring. Go ahead and do that. And go ahead and put the rest of the springs back on. And when putting this axle back on, make sure that the drive shafts are in phase. Alright, so we've removed the smallest spring from the rears as well as the internal spring on the rear shocks, and that rear is definitely a lot softer. Now we'll do the same thing for the front and remove the shortest spring from the front, or the smallest spring, and that should soften up the suspension overall for this chassis. Alright, and with that, the front suspension should be softened up as well as the rear, with 2 leaf springs in both the front and rear, with the smallest leaf spring removed from each quad, and along with the internal springs removed from inside the shocks, it definitely softens up the suspension for this Marlin crawler. So with that, that completes the goal of this part of the series. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe, and hit that notification bell for future updates on this Marlin crawler series. Thanks for watching.